everybody, welcome back to another Tuesday grilling video. And in this week's episode, we continue our culinary circumnavigation of Jamaica. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series, and today it's all about Jamaican oxtail. It's a simple and delicious recipe. Let's show you how it's done. Now, as always, we're gonna be cooking this outside on our Pit Boss pellet smoker. We're gonna be doing it on the side burner of the gas grill. Here's what you'll need. You need about 2 pounds of oxtail. You can get this at your local grocery store. If you have a Caribbean mart or a Hispanic grocery near you, you can definitely get it there. A lot of times in the butcher section, they'll actually cut it up directly for you. You can get exactly the thickness or thinness of pieces you want. I like the oxtail to be sliced at about 1.5 inches thick. To me, that's kind of the right thickness for this. Definitely want to rinse and wash this in cold water. If you look at any other recipes for oxtail online, you'll always see that in Jamaica or in the islands, they will often put apple cider vinegar or white vinegar or even lime juice on the oxtail. I actually don't believe that's 100% true. If your meat is treated well, it's gonna be fine. That's typically done for killing bacteria. The reality is we're gonna cook this above a certain temperature. It will actually absolutely get rid of any bacteria that even potentially could be in any meat. I don't anticipate that as an issue at all. All right, so we're gonna need 1 medium-sized onion, 2 green onions, a few peppers. You can use bell peppers or sweet peppers. I just happen to be using some sweet peppers here. We'll want 4 or 5 cloves of garlic. We're gonna use some onion powder, salt, ground allspice. If you have whole pimento seeds, that would be even better. I don't have any, so I'm using ground allspice, which is what it is. It's a pimento seed ground up. We're gonna use some dried thyme because I don't have any fresh, and we're gonna use an all-purpose seasoning. I'm using adobo seasoning. Use your favorite seasoned salt. I know everybody likes to get sort of exact measurements on all the seasonings. I honestly don't believe it's all that important. We're doing a marinade here on this meat, and it's gonna be done in a bit of a stewed liquid anyway. It's going to sort of even out, and you'll have plenty of time to adjust the seasoning. If you wanna try to get some ratios, I like to use about 2 parts salt, onion powder, and all-purpose seasoning to about 1 part of my thyme and ground allspice. That's kind of a good ratio. All we're gonna do is chop up our veg, put it right in here, add some of our seasonings, and mix it up. Let's get started. All right, we'll start with our seasoning. I've got my adobo seasoning to start. Again, about 2 parts of this. A little bit of our onion powder. A little bit of our salt. We're using smoked salt, your choice there. Dried thyme. All right, so for our green onions, we want to put in all of the white part cut in probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch sizes here. And we'll put in a bit of onion here. Now you choose the size of the dice you want on your onion. It all depends on whether you want to have chunks of onion in this when it's done. Eventually this will be stewed quite a bit, which means most of this will break down. And now we just want to cut up our peppers. Again, these are sweet peppers, so I know they look like they could potentially be hot given their color. They're not. And again, we want to cut these up to whatever size you're comfortable with. I actually like to have a little bit of pepper in here, so I'm going to cut them up in a size big enough again for the family to pick out if they don't want them, but I like having them in there. Ideally, you want this to sit at least a couple of hours and marinade. Overnight would be even better. We will marinate it for just a few hours. All right, we just want to cut our garlic up into pieces about this size. So just mix this up really well, and then you want to cover it up and put it in the fridge and let it marinate for a little bit. You could also put just a splash of oil on this if you want. I won't do that now. I'm going to do that after we get ready to put it in the pot and cook it. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is 1 full day later. Again, I mentioned you can let these marinate for anywhere from 2 hours up. Overnight is even better, and that's exactly what we've done. They look really good. They've been in the fridge the whole time covered up. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna show you all the steps to go ahead and prepare this, including how to make a good browning sauce to start with. We do that to make sure that the oxtail has that good, deep, rich, dark brown color that you wanna see when you have a good sort of Jamaican oxtail. Let me kind of show you the steps. I'm gonna put this aside for a minute. We'll make the browning sauce. All right, we're gonna make our browning sauce. What we're gonna do is put maybe a teaspoon or so of olive oil in here. You do not need a lot. It's gonna look like you need more, but I can assure you, you won't. And this is gonna be real important that you watch this very closely. You do not wanna burn it. So one of the things you can do is start to prepare your oxtail by removing it from your marinade so you don't have all the vegetables on it, because when it's time to put the oxtail in, we have to do it fairly quickly. We now wanna go ahead and put in our brown sugar. Again, maybe a little less than 1/4 cup for this amount of oxtail. Now we want to keep this brown sugar moving, and we want to keep mixing it. It will start to break down a little bit and turn a little bit wet. If you put too much olive oil in it, it's going to be swimming in that. You definitely don't want that. The idea here is we're going to slowly brown this brown sugar. We don't want to turn it into caramel, so low heat. See what I mean? It looks like it's going to be too dry, but we're going to leave that for a few moments to see if that moistens up enough. This is good. This is exactly what we're wanting. See how it's getting nice and brown here? This is what a browning season needs to look like. Now I'm gonna get ready to start putting my oxtail in here. Almost the color we want. Again, we wanna make sure we don't scorch it. Keep that moving around. Just get our oxtail sitting on one side. I'm just soaking them in it and turning it over a little bit just to help keep it from scorching down on the bottom. The cool meat going in will also keep it from scorching, but it's a little extra measure here. Put your biggest pieces in first. If you have to do this in batches, that's fine. I think I'm gonna be able to get all of mine in here, but it's gonna be a tight fit. Last one, like Tetris. There we go. We're just gonna let this go for about 5 minutes or so. You wanna move them around a little bit. We don't want them to scorch or burn on the bottom. And again, by turning them in some of that browning liquid, it's gonna be really good, the browning sauce. And then as we flip them over, again, we'll get a little bit more brown and color to them. When you're doing this, you can definitely use a metal spatula. I love these teak wooden spoons and wooden spatulas for things like this. They work really well. Not dishwasher safe, but you can scrub them real easily. While that's going, at my local farmer's market yesterday, I happened to find a guy selling single origin Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee. So while making my Jamaican oxtails, I'm enjoying my morning coffee, my last cup of the day. So after about 5 minutes, you just want to flip these guys over. You might need to add just a little bit of water to this. I went ahead and got some hot water. You don't need a lot, just enough to help keep them from sticking. I probably should have done a little bit of that before. All right, we'll let these go for about another 5 minutes or so. We want to watch them. If it dries up, we'll just add just a tad bit of water again. It helps keep them from sticking and anything from scorching on the bottom. But this brown that you see right up here is exactly what it is we're wanting here. We are pretty close to being ready to start sauteing these vegetables. The nice thing about this is, as we saute these vegetables, we're gonna really deglaze the bottom of this pan and get all of that browning seasoning right in this. Now again, this is the onions, the peppers, the garlic, all the stuff we marinated it in. We're just going to use all of that. We'll let these saute for 3 to 4 minutes or so. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on this, and probably for about another 3 minutes or so, we'll finish letting those vegetables saute. We'll continue to mix and scrape the bottom of the pan so that we get all of that pan juice from the searing of the oxtail incorporated into all of the vegetables and the onions and peppers. That is gonna end up being the flavor base as we add in the liquid and let these braise for a few hours until they're tender. We'll come back to this in just a minute. Whew. I'm sure I just steamed up the lens there. That's exactly what we're wanting to see. And now it's time to go ahead and add in our water. Now how much water you're gonna add in really depends on the thickness and how many oxtail you have in your pot and how wide your pot is. Ideally, you want the liquid to just cover the tops of them. So I went ahead and heated up some water a few minutes ago just so that it wasn't cold when I'm putting it in here. And I like to pour it along the sides of the pot just to wash down any of that flavor that's up on the side from all of our flipping. Doesn't get it all, but it gets some of it. We're gonna bring this up to a simmer, and we're just gonna cover this and check it frequently, because if we lose any of that water in there, we're definitely gonna wanna add some more into it. When this is all said and done, we're gonna cook it down and thicken it. All right, so over the last 2.5 hours or so, I have checked on this about every 20 to 30 minutes. I would open the lid, I would mix them up a little bit, and I added water several different times. Again, I like to use warm water. I typically boil it in a kettle. I add a little bit just so it doesn't keep bringing the temperature down. And I've let it go now without adding water, because what I want to do is reduce the fluid, the liquid, down into something a little thicker, like a brown sauce. So let me kind of show you what this looks like. Use my gloves because it's going to be nice and hot here. Oh my gosh, does that ever smell good. I probably could have added just a little bit more water in the last 10 minutes or so, but this has got a nice brown sauce. It's going to be perfect, and you can see just how tender these are, just falling right off the bone. It's exactly what we want. All right, we'll mix this up a little bit, turn our heat off. We'll get this plated up. I'll show you exactly what this looks like. For me, it's taken about 2 hours and 40 minutes. And if you keep adding liquid, you can cook it for 4 hours if you need to. I wanted it to be nice and tender, so I added that liquid and let it just sort of simmer a little while longer. Well, I went ahead and plated these up. I'll kind of show you what these look like. They look absolutely phenomenal. The big thing, obviously, is the taste test. So we'll grab just a little bit of this, and we'll give it a shot. Oh. It is so tender. It just falls apart in your mouth, and it has that meaty, rich taste. It's a little bit gelatinous from some of the fat that's on the actual oxtail. It's exactly what you want in a good oxtail stew. Certainly you can trim more of that off, but that little tiny bit of extra fat in it just makes a ton of flavor. I really, really hope you've enjoyed this recipe. Again, Jamaican oxtail is just phenomenal. And I do hope you're enjoying our culinary circumnavigation of Jamaica. If you are, please do us a favor, go ahead and like the video and subscribe. It really helps us get this out to more people. So thank you so much. Happy grilling, and we'll see y'all next Tuesday as we continue our journey around Jamaica. Bye y'all, safe and happy grilling.